Lovely to see you today. Thank you for coming in.
Good morning.
So perhaps no surprise that this scheme is very important to you. How do you feel today?
When I woke up this morning, I took a deep breath. I actually stayed up to midnight for it to just go past. And I thought, goodness, it's happened. I think I knew in court, and I think when the coroner was summing up, it took him a whole hour to sum up. So that told me the seriousness of it. And I think the moment he said the words, if it wasn't for the illegal levels of air pollution, not only would Ella not have had asthma at all, but she wouldn't have died on that fatal night. And I remember he was reading it, and he just took a moment and paused and looked at me and then carried on. I knew, and so we had won what we set out to do, get air pollution on the death certificate. And I did have the opportunity, because my lawyer said to me, what you set out to do, you can walk away now. Or there are many more young children. So in London, I haven't heard it yet this morning, 250,000 children have asthma. Between 8 and 12 continue to die every year. So since Ella's death, about 60 children have died. And so far, I've been listening in everywhere. I've heard the economic argument, the cost of living, and it's going to hit some people badly. But nobody yet has mentioned the children that continue to die. And why I feel I am so right about this is, during the first lockdown, for the first time ever in the UK, between the 23rd of March 2020 and the 4th of July, when Boris Johnson reopened, no child died from asthma for the first time ever. And within 5 weeks of that, after we reopened, a young boy, I better be careful, so a young boy died in London. And I know there are Scandinavian countries, Finland, Sweden, Norway, where they have almost no deaths. 12, and that's just 12 in London. Around the country, the 4 nations, it is normally between 22 and 24. And these are preventable deaths. And that is the extreme end. And I'm sure this morning you've heard everything from dementia, cancer. So this is a public health crisis. And where does my support come from? The Chief Medical Officer, Sir Chris Whitty, that's what his annual report was on last year, the impact of air pollution on the health of the nation. And that's what drives me forward still.
And I suppose nobody could argue with you for the reasons why you feel this way. But we've heard this morning from the Transport Secretary, Mark Harbour, who has put forward those arguments, just put forward the economic arguments, the fact that it could have a really detrimental impact on families who can't afford to drive their cars into the area, perhaps families who have kids with disabilities or trying to take their kids into school, people with businesses. What would you say to those families who are watching today who say their heart goes out to you, but that this is having a really negative effect on their lives?
Okay, this isn't just me. You mentioned children with disabilities. That's who air pollution affects. I was listening to Mark Harper, and I've just spoken to him. I've invited him to the Health Summit. Currently, 2.5 million people are ill who should be working. So air pollution is impacting the economy anyway. It is our health. And the new figures for dementia is very concerning. They found black carbon on the brain. And Professor Frank Kelly, who is the eminent scientist, I saw him last week, and we're concerned about what is happening in the future. I will speak to the mayor. It is no secret. People know I actually work with him. And I've noticed just a few people, there are some people who have slipped through the net. For example, care workers, evening shift. And every new scheme that starts, there are always bumps in the road. We will have a conversation about that a bit when I was informed about the blue badge holders. I went back to him and he's made sure he has sorted that problem out. This isn't the be-all and end-all for today. We will continue to look very closely. Mine is about saving lives, and anything I can do, to help this process along.
When you hear prospective mayoral candidates for London say that they will reverse this scheme if they win, how do you feel? Do you think they will if that was to happen?
Then we have to go back to court then, because OK, this is the other side of me that comes out. It was very clear that Mr. Khan has a legal responsibility about air quality. He was advised by every single expert in Ella's inquest that this needs to go London-wide. And if this is let's ask Londoners deep down, once this embeds in, And it's just when I heard her say that, 701,000 people in outer London, 701,000 have compliant cars. Thank you to everybody who has a compliant, and especially those who have struggled to get there. The figure from November 2022 was 77,000 had non-compliant cars. That was almost a year ago, and we need to help as many people as possible. Stunted lung growth will cost us on the NHS. That's your taxes and my taxes. And we all want to breathe clean air. I'm yet to meet anybody I come across who says, oh, Rosamund, I don't want clean air. Yes, it's painful, it's costly, but please, everyone, let's work together for a healthier future.
Rosamund Kissi-Debrah, really good to talk to you today.
Thank you very much for having me.